Hi folks, just a quick update this time to bring you up to date with what's been happening lately. Most of you will be aware of the letter sent to President Higgins asking about the possible impeachment of some of our judges, some of our more senior judges, who we can demonstrate have been involved in, at the very least, facilitating a criminal who is operating through the Irish court system and engaging in multiple frauds, deceptions, acts of perjury, and frankly, making an absolute mockery of the Irish justice system. No doubt this would have continued had we not stumbled across the fact that all of this was illegal, had been going on for well over a year. Now, the sad news is, when I say the sad, the unfortunate news, is that I did eventually get a response from the President's office after writing 2 letters, and I will quote some of the second letter to you here in a moment. The unfortunate fact is that those responses came after the hearing of the 30th of January was well over by 2 or 3 days, and it was, as I'm afraid to say, as usual, another prolonged act of deception, circuitous deferrals, contempt, evasiveness, and basically avoiding the issue. Now, you will remember that I made a specific point to President Higgins, and there were 2 of them. The first one was that I was asking for his personal protection and the protection of his office because I was holding the constitutional position and I was trying to get justice in the courts. I was being forced into a position by the judges where I was actually being asked to comply with the criminal process, and I cannot do that, and I will not do that. The second thing we asked for was that the President consider whether or not some of these judges should be impeached, or in other words, that they should be removed from office for failing to do their jobs correctly. The derisory response I eventually got by email, didn't even get a paper copy, by email was, "We're very sorry, but the President doesn't get involved in government issues or court issues if they're ongoing in the courts." And of course, I wrote back and explained to the man who sent me the email, and I will name him here. His name was Conor O'Reilly. His other colleagues, Linda Farrell and John Ahern. Now, I name all these people for a specific reason, folks. It is clear that these people think they are just doing their jobs, but they are not abiding by the law, the Constitution, and the codes of ethics that they're supposed to abide by, whilst they're being paid by us, the taxpayers. So the one way they can be held accountable, at least to some small extent, is if they are named in public videos like this and in public letters. Let them know that each time that they transgress against the people and that they cover up for wrongdoing and crimes by their colleagues, by their superiors, by so-called important people in Irish society, that they will be named and that we will broadcast the fact in the Integrity Ireland newsletters, database and videos. Linda Farrell is Deputy Secretariat, I believe, to the President. I had called her 2 or 3 times after I wrote the first letter when I didn't get a response. She advised me, "Oh, Conor O'Reilly is dealing with the matter and he will get right back to you." But Conor did not get back to me. I called again, I left a message on Conor's answer machine. Still he didn't respond. I impressed upon them how serious the issue was, that we were facing a constitutional dilemma, a crisis in our courts, that I was in an impossible situation, as you all know, and if you haven't seen it, please look at the previous video, the letter to the President. The case came and went. Again, there's an account of what happened there. I then called again on the day of the 30th and spoke to John Ahern. Now, John Ahern claimed to be the aide-de-camp to President Higgins. Believe it or not, when I asked this man, would he pass my message on, he said, "Yes, I'll pass your message and your complaints up the chain of command." I asked him, who is up the chain of command? He said, "I'm not prepared to answer that question." I couldn't believe my ears. I said, "Well, John," I said, "I'm just asking you to tell me who it is that's going to receive this complaint." And again, he refused. I said, "Well, at least can you tell me the rank of this person?" And again, he refused. And then I asked him categorically, "Are you refusing to tell me the name, position, or rank of the person above you in the chain of command to whom you're going to pass this important message?" He said, "Yes, I am." Now, these are people who are supposedly working for us folks, okay? Clearly, something is very seriously amiss. So I'm just going to read a couple of paragraphs from the second letter to the President after nobody turned up at the hearing, nobody responded to me, nobody, not even a phone call, not an email, nothing. This is what I said. Naturally, President Higgins, as trusting law-abiding people who came to you in all sincerity in extremely trying and traumatic circumstances for myself, my family and a great number of other concerned citizens, we are appalled and dismayed at this inexcusable display of unprofessional behaviour and believe we have a right to ask for an explanation as to what exactly is going on at the presidential offices. What sort of professional standards are required in the highest office of the land, sir? Are we to believe that this level of deception, evasiveness and equivocation is routine? Because certainly it would be absolutely unacceptable in any truly professional environment. Your staff had almost a month to answer a clear and legitimate request for clarity on an important constitutional question, that of senior judges repeatedly engaging in unconstitutional activity to the detriment of law-abiding citizens. But your staff have not only utterly failed to deal with that question, but they have, it seems, purposefully engaged in the same old discredited tactics which underline a prevalent lack of transparency in Irish state institutions, which in turn fosters widespread corruption, cronyism and a lack of any real accountability. The very same type of serious constitutional issues which prompted us to approach you in the first place. More troubling perhaps is the fact that these behaviours are being carried out in your name, under the auspices of the presidential offices and under the constitutional authority thereof. We do sincerely hope that the irony of the situation is not lost in the fog of equivocation and evasiveness. And I would ask you please to read the full text of the letter, which will be posted up here alongside the video. In the meantime, folks, on Thursday the 12th of February, I am back in the High Court in what is now becoming an increasingly farcical, you could even call it a comical situation where the implications not so serious. On October the 29th last year, after writing multiple complaints to Garda headquarters, the Minister of Justice, the Chief Justice, to the Taoiseach himself, to just about everybody concerned, to various independent judges, telling them that there was a serious fraud ongoing in the Irish courts, in the superior courts. Eventually, the criminal who has been perpetrating these frauds was told by the President of the High Court, no less, you have no right of audience in the courts. And with that, he was told soundly, you cannot participate in these hearings any longer. We were then directed to come back before the President of the High Court on Thursday, February the 12th, which I am planning to do. Unfortunately, however, in the meantime, this criminal completely ignored the instructions of the President of the High Court, completely ignored the circulars that we then sent out to all the court service staff and the various judges, telling them what had been said in the court that day, and he went ahead and lodged an appeal which was apparently fast-tracked to last January the 30th, on the Friday, which again most of you have known about. He was allowed to go ahead and lodge an appeal against the decision that said he wasn't allowed to attend court. Now, he's been told by 3 judges, no less now, of the superior courts, that he has no right of audience in these courts. So it will be interesting to see what happens on Thursday, where no doubt either himself, his wayward sibling, who is the person we are suing in the first place, or perhaps some legal representative finally may now turn up and try and extend this farce. It is a farce. And if that comment is deemed to be contemptuous of the court, I would like to clarify this. I hold absolutely no contempt for the courts inasmuch as they operate the way they are supposed to work according to the rules, to the law and the Constitution. What I do hold contempt for, and what all right-thinking people and all decent citizens should hold contempt for, is the contemptuous manner in which many of the people entrusted with the administration of justice treat their responsibilities to us, to the law and to the Constitution.